couple weeks ago, I put out a video and I said this whole US presidential election cycle will have a lot of 12th house activity, meaning one of these candidates is either going to hospital, potentially get assassinated, end up in jail, something nasty like that's going to happen. And that was a follow-up of a video I put out a few months ago in which I said this. We should be able to make the prediction that either Donald Trump or Joe Biden will have a life-threatening event take place for them between now and the election. So I'm just going to throw that prediction out there. I hope I'm wrong, because I never really like predicting bad stuff for people, especially if it's, death or stuff like that. And in the time since I put those videos out, this happened.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Not only did Trump escape within a literal inch of his life, but Joe Biden actually got COVID just a few days after, and he's dropped out of the presidential election race. So I thought I'd make a video more or less making some more predictions on what's going to happen in the US election over the next couple months, and maybe just stock take the energy of all this craziness, see if we can understand what's going on. Hey guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry. My name is Sulabh Jain, and in this video we're going to be having a look at all the craziness going on with the US elections. So far there's already been an assassination attempt, one leading candidate dropped out, or a sitting president no less. So let's try and figure out what's actually happening here. Before we do that though, let's maybe go back and review a couple videos that I made a few years ago. I'll throw up a screenshot of a video that I made on the 2020 election. This was from the last election cycle where it was Trump versus Biden, and at that point in time, Trump was the incumbent. And in this video, I said that the whole situation here would kick off with political insecurity in Britain. I think at that point in time, just after I put that video out, I think England changed 2 or 3 prime ministers in a very short space of time. And then there were scandals for both candidates in September. I think there was a Hunter Biden thing, and then Donald Trump. He's always got some elections, but there's a really big one in September that I can't remember. I predicted an uncertain outcome to the election in November. Also some states talking about secession. There was a US dollar crisis at that point. And then the results for that election were actually delivered in December. My last prediction though was that there would be an injury or an accident to the head of the president in March or April of 2022. And it was somewhere in the general ballpark of that one, with Biden having really severe dementia. If you look back in hindsight, it's been about the last 2 years that he's really been in decline here. So, 6 correct predictions out of 7 there, and 1 with a big question mark on it. The reason I mention all of this is I want to give you guys some indication on the track record we've got over here. Now, before we get into the 2024 elections, let's also go back to a screenshot that I made of a video on the hands of Kamala Harris. And in that video, I was looking for really just one answer. Could this person be a future president? And one of the predictions I made in that video was that she would get a job promotion. And what actually ended up happening was, I think it was in November itself, Joe Biden went under anesthesia for some minor medical procedure, and she became president for 1 day. However, a few months after that, she got into a major scandal, and she started getting sidelined even by the White House itself. So the last line I've got in this screenshot is from 2025. She's going to be facing more struggles. So that's the general lay of the land that I want you guys to have before we get into the predictions for this video. Kamala Harris has some very funny energy around her. Donald Trump also has some very funny energy around him too. But America as a country has even stranger energy around itself. That's what I really want to talk about. See, those first 2 videos I showed you guys in this video about making the prediction on the hospital visit or the assassination attempt on these guys, That was based on the antecedent of what's going on in Pakistan and Russia. You see, Pakistan and Russia are vibrating at pretty much the same energy that America is right now. If you see what happens in those two countries, then you can make predictions about what's going on in America. So I'm going to make my predictions based on what's been going on in Pakistan. You see, during the recent elections in Pakistan, there was an assassination attempt on Imran Khan. After that, there were a lot of court problems where the Pakistani court actually banned Imran Khan's party or its logo being put on the ballot. During the election, people voted for change, and the polls were completely wrong. They thought Imran Khan's party was going to lose by a huge margin. However, the election was rigged and the people's voice wasn't heard. That resulted in riots and protests throughout Pakistan, and more recently, they've been given an economic bailout. So I want you guys to see what's happened in Pakistan from the assassination attempt to the more recent bailout. You can map very similar energy to what's gone on in Russia too. There was an assassination attempt, or actually a successful assassination, on the opposition leader in Russia, Navalny, and then followed by court problems and so on. Basically, the Russian elections pretty much followed the same pattern or the same schema out of Pakistan here. I'm predicting that the American election is going to be pretty much the same. So after this recent assassination attempt on Donald Trump and then COVID happening to Biden, I think the next event that we should be looking out for is a court problem or legal challenges for one of the candidates. Now, we know Trump's got a whole world of legal problems going on for himself right now, but to the best of my understanding, I think it's been granted some kind of immunity from a lot of it, at least until the end of this election, and possibly, if he wins the election, at the end of the next term. So it could just be that the legal problems or challenges come to Kamala Harris instead of Biden. Not sure quite which way that's going to go. But my third prediction here is that regardless of that, the polls will be wrong. The polls may show Donald Trump's winning, it's actually going to be Kamala Harris, or vice versa. But just like the polls with, I think it was Trump versus Hillary Clinton back in 2016, how they were completely wrong, they're going to be completely wrong this time too. I'm also predicting that this election will actually be rigged. Now, Donald Trump has claimed that every election he's contested has been rigged, the one in 2016, the one in 2020, which is kind of funny because he's contesting the election that he won, right? This time around, though, he actually will participate in an election that is rigged. And if he loses, most likely he's going to complain very loudly about it. But most likely this is going to go the way of, like the boy who cried wolf. You say it so many times, people just stop believing you. However, in the aftermath of that, I'm predicting riots and protests taking place in America, followed by an economic bailout or money printing taking place. And that should be happening sometime between August of 2024 to June of 2025. Remember, on this channel, we're predicting a slight market crash or market fall taking place in August. So it could just be the aftermath of that, would be money printing in the months just afterwards. So that's what I think is going to be happening in this election cycle. What you'll notice though is I'm not actually telling you guys who's going to win this election. I didn't do that in the 2020 video because it really doesn't matter who wins. I want you guys to look at the big picture of what's going on in the world. That is the fact that America is a country where half of it is in decline and the other half of it is rising and growing. Meaning America is an industrial age economy and it's an information age economy. As the industrial age declines, half of America will fall and decline with it. As the information age rises, half of America will rise and grow with it. Eventually there'll come a tipping point in a number of years where the industrial America will completely be destroyed and the information age America will take over and start to lead the world once again. Neither candidate, be it Biden, Harris, Trump or anyone else, is going to stop that from happening. In addition to this, I've also made the prediction on this channel that I'm expecting a big financial crash to take place between late 2026 to early 2027. Neither candidate that gets elected into this election cycle is going to be able to stop that either. I've actually called that crash the beginning of the end of Western civilization. So to make more sense out of that, I'll link to a video that actually at the end of this, I'll link to a video that I made explaining this big picture on what's happening to the world over the next few decades and maybe even over the next few centuries too. So have a look at that video to get more context, but I'll also make this other prediction that regardless of the outcome of this election, the next president, who should be coming around in maybe 2028, and I'm assuming will be the first Gen X president, that person is going to be an outstanding leader. That person is actually going to start to rebuild America. But that's in 2028, in the aftermath of a big financial crisis in 26-27. So that's where I want to end this video, guys. There's some crazy times in America right now. They're about to get crazier over the next few months. But I don't want you guys worrying about that, because regardless of who wins, it's not going to change the final outcome. America has a great future, but that's going to come after a decade or two. In the short term, there's a lot of craziness. Alright guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. Thank you.